Well, I promised the next video was going to be on the Halloween Horror Nights house Insidious. However, I need to talk about this. Hey there, hi there, ho there, Andrew here, and I'm going to talk about Fear the Walking Dead. Now, Fear the Walking Dead is set many weeks before The Walking Dead actually takes place. And it takes place in Los Angeles. It is being called a companion series. That's a nice way of saying spin-off. Fear the Walking Dead's pilot opens with a young man played by Frank Delane. I think I'm getting that right. Frank Delane, who apparently is channeling 1990s Johnny Depp. His character's name is Nick Clark. Nick Clark. Thank goodness his name wasn't Brian Seacrest. Nick opens his eyes from a drug-induced nappy nap and he sees the world around him is not quite the same. Well, that's good. I mean, I was afraid they were going to stick an opening like the last series. You know, where Rick, not Nick, wakes up and sees dead people around the hospital. Thankfully now we have Nick, and he wakes up seeing dead people around a church. Phew. Thank goodness for that difference. So Nick, seeing one of his friends eat the face of another friend, freaks out and runs out on the street. Bam! Gets hit by a car. He's then surrounded by tons of people in a busy city. This all happens in the first 5 minutes. And we go to a commercial break. Now we cue the parents of the story. First is Maddie, short for Madison. She's played by Kim Dickens, and she plays a high school guidance counselor. Maddie lives with her overcompensating boyfriend. His name is Travis, and he's played by Cliff Curtis. Travis is an English teacher in the same high school. They get a phone call that Nick's in the hospital, so they show up, and they see police asking him questions. Side note, this pilot misses a great chance to make the police a mistaken bad guy. Can you imagine this? So what if the police were trying to clean up the zombie issue, all without anyone noticing? Then suddenly we see videos of police killing innocent citizens, unarmed citizens. The local government tries to sweep it all up under the rug and basically says there's nothing to see. The media is compliant so we don't freak out. Anyone remember how we in the real world acted when Ebola hit the US? So the police don't follow up about Nick's story. What? Shouldn't they have at least checked the area when Nick was hit by the car? They did say that he was raving about dead people in the church. I would count that as probable cause. Madison in the next scene is basically shown as the overprotected mom. Travis gets a call from his ex. It's his turn to have his teenage son. His son doesn't want to go and see him. He then tells his son, stay there. That's a good dad giving his kids what they want, which is not you. Maddie goes to the high school. There we hear about reports of the flu. People are missing too. Kids aren't coming to school. Is that odd? Remember, this is a country that freaks out if there is a small outbreak of any kind of contagious disease. You know, AIDS, bird flu, swine flu, etc. We are then introduced to a kid named Tobias. He brings a knife to school. Madison then scolds Tobias, tells him that he's got his whole life ahead of him and that he's on track to go to college. He replies that he's not going to go to college. In fact, nobody's doing anything that they think they're going to do anymore. Why can't we be watching this guy's story? He begins to mention important exposition. Then she cuts him off. Thanks. I didn't need to know that. So then he leaves. The only interesting character so far. Alicia, the daughter of Madison, then skips class so she can be told by her boyfriend that she's so smart. Okay, not really needed, but moving on. Travis and Nick talk at the hospital what Nick actually saw. Travis then leaves and goes to investigate the church on his own. You know, because nighttime is the right time to investigate a murder. In a church, by yourself. I swear, these characters are interchangeable with their lack of reasoning, mostly for the sake of convenience of the writers. Madison then goes back to the hospital and Travis is already gone. Travis finds blood and guts at the church. The second commercial break. We come back and it's the next day. Alicia and Nick spend some quality bonding time at the hospital over Jell-O. They talk about how smart she is and how he isn't. Yeah, we got how smart she was already. Moving on. Travis then tells Madison about the church from the previous night and she shrugs it off. She basically says bad things happen in those kind of places. Wait a minute! Aren't you the caring mom? Your son was in a church where your boyfriend found blood and guts laying around and you just shrug it off? Does anybody get the cops? No. More Alicia and her boyfriend. Who cares? She's starting to turn into the Meg Griffin of the family. Travis then speaks subtext to his English class about man versus nature, underlining that nature always wins. Nick decides to break out of the hospital. How does he do it? Under the cover of chaos when the old man next to him codes out. Travis and Maddie show up at the hospital, and suddenly Madison cares again. She now wants to go to the church. Now we're on the third commercial break. I'm going to be a little honest with you. I'm a little ticked off by this time. Commercial breaks pull people out when you have to draw them back in. And so far, I'm not drawn into this story at all. I couldn't care about these characters. So Madison and Travis basically turn into Mulder and Scully in their investigation. And why do we have to go back as an audience? For what reason? There's no payoff. Madison basically gets bummed out because that's where her son slept. Really? It makes me feel like the producers were like, hey, if we're going to build this set, we might as well get our money's worth. And might I ask something in relations to the church? Where did the zombies go? Weren't they on the news? They must have traveled in the last day. You would think that other people around the church would have been infected or bitten or attacked, something, killed. Travis and Madison then go and see Nick's friend Calvin. Calvin happens to be the drug dealer to Nick. Travis and Madison don't know that. Nick buys a new cell phone at a convenience store. He calls somebody to talk to. to. We don't know who that is. Alicia waits for her boyfriend and he never shows up. Bye, Alicia. Travis and Madison talk in the car while driving home. Madison then says she doesn't want Nick to come home. What? Is she bipolar or something? They get caught in traffic when some craziness goes down. We're assuming it's craziness because we can hear sirens and helicopters. Travis mentions offhandedly that it must be a high-speed chase that went bad. This is 59 minutes into the show. Then we hear gunshots. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Commercial break. Pulled away again. To say that I am angry because I have wasted an hour of my time would be an understatement. Thankfully, the show's an hour and a half. We come back from commercial, it's the next day. The faculty at the school is watching video on the news. It happens to be what was going down while Travis and Madison were in their car. Madison decides that they should call the police and try to find Nick. What? Nick continues to call an unknown person and leaving messages. Alicia's teacher at the high school is teaching the chaos theory. Woo-hoo-hoo! Are we gonna watch Jurassic Park? No. Alicia watches a news feed. It has the same zombie video footage that the faculty watched. She shrugs it off saying it's not real. Really? I'm sorry, kids today are not stupid. Most smart people can realize what's fake and what isn't fake on the news. Alicia is supposed to be smart. They've nailed that one down to us a couple of times now. Nick meets Calvin at a diner. Calvin suddenly goes from Wayne Brady mode to Dr. Dre mode. Nick wants to know if the drugs that he took were laced. Calvin wants to know if Nick ratted him out. They go for a drive. Calvin plans to kill Nick. Nick turns the gun on Cal. Cal is shot. Cal is dead. Commercial break. By the way, there's only 15 minutes left of this show. Travis and Madison meet up with Nick. Nick freaks out and tells them about Calvin, except that they can't find Calvin's body. Eventually they leave and Calvin's reanimated body shows up. Travis tries to talk to him. Zombie Cal attacks Travis. Nick runs him over with a car. Cal, not Travis. Not once, but twice. Calvin's broken body then begins to move again. Madison asks what is happening. Travis says he has no idea. And that's it. That's the show. Found out later that the show's sponsors were the letters W, T, and F. Honestly, this pilot has its flaws. And most fans will love it because it's related to The Walking Dead. Indirectly, of course. But they're fans, and they're going to act that way. I'm a fan, but I expect a little more. And not to be jerked around for an hour and 15 minutes before something finally happens. You see, they got these things called first act, second act, and third act in stories. The first act shouldn't take over an hour. Fear the Walking Dead had a chance to set the tone and the pace of this show. We all know the outcome. Just set the tone and the pace to get us there. B-movies do a better job at setting the tone and pace. Fear the Walking Dead try to set up some type of eerie and foreboding tone. It's not supposed to be eerie yet. In The Walking Dead, when Carl or Michonne is supposed to clear a building, it's supposed to be eerie. There's supposed to be suspense. But not in Fear the Walking Dead. It's like when Madison goes to talk to the principal that's hunched over. Why should that be scary? Nothing bad has happened yet. I like the idea of the first zombies being homeless and junkies. But there's a problem with that. We're all infected. So that means that people that are coding out in hospitals should reanimate. This is the city of LA. Lots of people die in LA. Different classes of people, not just societies forgotten. If all of this occurred in one day, yeah, I might buy it. But this is like 3 days, maybe 4. And the big payoff at the end when Calvin is a walker? There's no payoff. We all know walkers exist. This pilot would have been more intriguing if it was with doctors in a hospital trying to figure out why people are coding out and why are they coming back. So now they have to tie them down, figure out what's going on. Nurses are getting bit. People have fevers. People are spitting up blood, going full walker. That's more entertaining. I think I'm going to be sitting out on this series. I definitely won't be reviewing every episode. What do you think? Did you like it? Are you going to tune in next week? Like the video, tap the like button. Next upload is going to be the Halloween Horror Nights house, Insidious. As promised. Subscribe so you see it the moment I upload. And I will see you in the next video.